They'll call it the 991.2 GT3, those who want to flummox you with names and numbers and codes, like it's some kind of secret club. The 991 generation of the 911 had a GT3 at the start of things, then it got a GT3 RS, and then that limited run 911R from last year. Well, now some of those lessons have gone into making a new GT3. Further back still, the rear suspension is mildly tweaked again, it's very RS-ish, Preuninger has said. There are helper springs at the back, which allow the main springs to be lighter, and dampers are retuned all round and said to make the GT3 both ride better on the road yet be more taut on a circuit than before when you plonk them into firm mode. There's still active rear steer. At the very back is a new rear bumper, made from the same weight-saving material as the front one, while the rear spoiler is the same as before but mounted 20 mm further back and 10 mm higher. Combined with some new underbody aerodynamic tweaks, it improves downforce by 20% while affecting drag not at all. And under all this is, of course, the engine. It's a 4.0-liter rather than a 3.8, and it now makes 493 bhp, around 500 horsepower, but don't think it's just a 4.0 GT3 RS or 911R engine bolted into a GT3. If anything, it's all but identical to the latest 911 Cup car's engine, see separate story, P28. There is a different crankshaft, with bigger seals, it's stiffer and it has oil channeling through it. There are new pistons, with different liners and an ever more slippery coating on them. And, reputedly most significant, there are no longer hydraulic valve adjusters inside a new head design, which reduces the oil pressure you need to lubricate them. Apparently, new materials used to mean that the valves won't go out of adjustment even if you run one on a dyno, as Porsche has, for 200,000 miles, so they say. The upshot of all of that is that this engine spins more freely, to a rev limit of 9,000 revolutions per minute, higher even than the GT3 RS and R could. Which sounds rather promising. Peak power comes in at 8,250 revolutions per minute, torque, and only 339 pounds-foot of it, at 6,000 revolutions per minute. So you're going to have to work to get it, which you can do via the medium of a 7-speed PDK dual-clutch gearbox or, wonderfully again, the biggest, baddest, shockingest and greatest news of all, the GT3 has again become available with a manual gearbox. Woo-oo. Let's see. If you were planning no track work at all, the chances are you wouldn't go for a GT3 variant of a 911, but the ride, it's true, isn't half bad. It has been a long time since I drove a first-gen GT3, months since I drove a 911R, even, and my ass cannot retain memories of ride quality for that long. But the GT3 feels compliant enough to me, while composed and tight, granted, plus there's always the reassurance that even if you haven't specified the 1,599 pounds nose lift and used it, at least Porsche uses flexible rubber, not carbon fiber, at the front of its cars. The steering is firm and accurate and self-centers nicely. The engine's smooth. There's a dual-mass flywheel for refinement, whereas the GT3 RS and R had a lighter, single-mass option, but response still seems to border on the electric, in that terrific, naturally aspirated way of the best high-performance Porsche engines. It's good fun to thread along. You'll never operate in the power band on the road, not for long, anyway, but even at lower speeds than its mammoth capability, it's rewarding and engaging. And on a circuit? Well, then it's something else, as you'd expect. Body control is impeccably tight, yet running over curbs doesn't unsettle a balance that is absolutely terrific. There is poise, agility, feedback and feel to spare. What I love about GT Porsches is that they seem to place engineering in front of you and invite you to feel it. It's different from how, say, McLaren or Ferrari goes about things. All are worthy, enjoyable in their own right. A Ferrari's quickness of steering enhances agility and masks feedback. A McLaren wants to be composed, driven somewhat in a fashion that best suits it. The GT3 isn't like them.